Let's ask a really simple question. Who are you? Seems easy, right? But what if the you that goes to bed at night isn't the same you that's flying through your dreams? And what if both of them just vanish the moment an anesthesiologist puts you under? Okay, let's get into it. We're going to take a journey deep inside the brain to really look at how fragile, how shifty our sense of self actually is.
I mean, just think about it for a second. In your dreams, you could be anyone, right? A superhero, maybe you're a kid again, or you're not even you. And you just accept the most bizarre, impossible things as totally normal. Well, that's not just your brain being weird for the sake of it. It's actually a massive clue about how your consciousness is put together. And that right there, that's the heart of what we're talking about today. Your sense of self, that feeling of being you. It's not some solid thing tucked away in your skull. Nope, it's an active, ongoing process. You can almost think of it like a story that your brain is constantly spinning for itself. And as we'll see, sometimes that story can get really, really different.
So, before we can really get into how the self can kind of fall apart, we've got to understand how it's built in the first place. So, let's start with the basics, our normal, everyday, waking self.
You know, when you're awake, going about your day, your sense of self feels so solid, so real. It's just there. But what is it actually made of? What are the ingredients, the pillars that hold up this feeling that you're one continuous person?
All right, let's break down all the things we just take for granted. These are the pillars of your waking self. First up, you've got unity. This feeling that you're just one person, right? Not a collection of different people. Then there's continuity. The you that went to bed last night is the same you that woke up this morning. Super important. Embodiment, that's the feeling that you are your body. You live inside it. Of course, there's the sense of free will, that you're in control. You know where you are. That's self-location. And finally, social embedding. You define yourself by your relationships with others. All of these together, they're the building blocks for the you that you know and are every single day. Okay, so those are the rules for being awake. We've got them down. Now, let's see what happens when the brain shuts down for the night and starts dreaming, because this is where things get interesting, and those rules get seriously bent, and sometimes just completely broken. And this really lays it all out, the huge difference between the two. Your waking self, it has this long, continuous story day after day. But your dreaming self? Pfiff. Its story might only last for that one dream, and then it's gone. Waking life is stuck with logic and physics. Dream life just throws all that right out the window. And your friends and family? When you're awake, you know who's who. But in a dream, that person you're talking to could be a weird mashup of your best friend and your third-grade teacher, and your brain just rolls with it. So why? Why do we just accept all this impossible stuff when we're dreaming? Well, it's because the parts of your brain that are in charge of critical thinking, of reality checking, they're basically powered down. So the dreaming self just lets all the improbable, implausible, completely impossible stuff become its reality, no questions asked. And this isn't just some psychological trick. It is hardcore brain chemistry. Just look at this. When you're in REM sleep, that's where the craziest dreams happen. Two key neurotransmitters, norepinephrine and serotonin, the ones that help keep you focused and rational, they just bottom out. They're practically gone. At the same time, acetylcholine, which is all about brain activation and memory, goes through the roof. It's this wild chemical cocktail that creates the bizarre, emotional, and totally illogical world of your dreams.
But you know what? As weird as dreams are, that's not even the most extreme way your self can be altered. Not by a long shot. To really see how the self is built, you have to see what it looks like when it's completely taken apart. And that brings us to the much, much deeper state of general anesthesia.
Okay, this is a really big deal. We all say it right, you're going to sleep for surgery. But that's just not what's happening. Neuroscientists are really clear on this now. A brain under general anesthesia is not asleep. It's actually in a drug-induced and, thankfully, reversible coma. It's a state of unconsciousness that is so much deeper and more disconnected than any kind of sleep you will ever have. So how in the world do these drugs even do that? Well, it's not like they just flip an off switch in your brain. It's way more sophisticated. Their whole goal is to disrupt communication, to basically shatter the brain's massive information network into a bunch of tiny, isolated islands that can't talk to each other anymore. So picture your waking brain like a massive, bustling city, maybe like Tokyo or New York, with information flowing freely on superhighways between all the different neighborhoods.
Everything's connected, everything's talking. That allows all these different parts of your brain to team up and create one single unified experience of the world. That global connection, that's consciousness.
Now, under anesthesia, that city goes into a total lockdown. All the superhighways between the neighborhoods are completely shut down. Communication is now just strictly local. People can only talk to their next-door neighbors. So yeah, there's still activity happening in each little neighborhood, but it's totally isolated. It can't share its information with the rest of the brain. And without that long-range global connection, consciousness and your very sense of self just can't exist. Okay, so we've got the waking self, the dreaming self, and this absent self under anesthesia. 3 totally different states. So what's the connection? What's the single principle that explains how the brain can build all of these states from the bottom up? Well, the answer is this really beautiful idea that comes from biology and even physics.
And that idea is called self-organization. It's basically the magic of how you get incredible complexity without a boss, without a master plan. It's how you can get these amazing, intelligent-looking patterns just from a whole bunch of simple little parts, all following very simple local rules. Termites are the perfect example. A termite colony builds these incredible, complex nests, right? But there's no architect's termite, no foreman with a blueprint. Not a single one of them knows what the final nest is supposed to look like. It all just emerges. One termite drops a little pellet of soil. That makes it just a tiny bit more likely that another termite will drop one nearby. And from that one simple feedback loop, repeated millions of times, you get pillars, tunnels, arches. The whole amazing structure just self-organizes itself into being. And here it is, this is the whole point. Just like that termite nest has no architect, your mind has no CEO. There's no little you sitting in a command center pulling the levers. Your thoughts, your feelings, your sense of being a person, it's all a product of self-organization. I mean, your brain has something like 100 trillion connections. It's just mind-bogglingly complex. Individual neurons are just firing and connecting based on simple local rules. And out of all that constant chatter, all that competition and cooperation between them, a single, dominant, coherent pattern emerges for a moment. And that pattern, that is your thought. That pattern is your dream. That pattern is you. So this is the big takeaway. Yourself isn't a thing. It's a process. It's an event that's constantly happening. It's this coherent story that emerges, moment by moment, from the beautiful, organized chaos inside your head. And as we've seen, if you just change the chemistry a little bit, that story can shift from a logical, waking narrative to a bizarre dream to absolutely nothing at all. Which leaves us with one last kind of mind-bending question to chew on. If you, your entire sense of self, are just a story the brain tells itself, a pattern that emerges from this incredible dance of neurons, then who exactly is listening?